We are believed to deal with synthetic or hypothetical problems. So it's kind of bridging the two communities. I thought that to me, business is a very big word. So I put, this is for the first time, when I find an audience of this composition. So I put the title as Natural Language Processing, which is NLP. There are other acronyms, other expansion for this acronym. Recently, I came across in Facebook and some other social media. But in this case, it's Natural Language Processing. Because before that, you will already have the environment and other stuffs configured. We will make sure for that. So for all these things, the requirement is kind of, laptop is an important requirement as you figured it out correctly. So this is the outline of today's workshop. So basically, there are a lot of problems where natural language processing required. As you know, text is everywhere. And as Ajit was telling this morning, most of the informations are encoded in text because that's the most natural way civilization has encoded. And there are different dimensions to this problem. Like text can be multilingual, as you must understand. So knowledge encoded in Chinese language, knowledge encoded in English language, and so on. So yes, we need different methodologies to tackle different problems. So here, basically, we cut it short, and our major focus, our only focus, will be on English language at this point of time. Although we know that Indian language text mining is a real issue, here I must mention that after this social web came into the picture, we started writing Indian languages in Roman scripts, in different spellings, in different convention, and so on. And very recently, we started writing at least part of the Indian languages in their own script. So it's a mess, essentially. So we have one text where we have Romanized English, Romanized Hindi, and then Bengali in its own script, and then real English. So you understand how the reality is. So if you want to really understand what is going on from a business perspective, that's the real situation. Say, for example, you were selling something, maybe a mobile phone. So you have some 20,000 feedbacks for that phone, and that is written in text of mixed codes, what we call. Code switching happened many times. So that is reality. That's a real problem to tackle. So again, given the time constraint, we just here want to focus it on English. Let's assume all the consumers are writing their stuffs in English. All the social web users are writing their comments, opinions, everything in English. For a time or two, we have some example where we manage to deal with, we have some example on Hindi also, but we will not get into details to that because that's a real problem. And what Arinda was mentioning, this movement called Forum for Information Retrieval Evaluation, FIRE, where we actually tackle text mining problems for Indian languages, that is, or non-English language, because we have tracks on Arabic language, we have tracks on Chinese language, we have tracks on Russian languages, and so on. So that's a altogether different story. So these two problems we chose here, social profiling, social profile mining or social profiling, as you can brand it, and summarization. So these are two very popular usage of where NLP has been used frequently. So as you see, all of us in this room, I'm sure, aware about these terms, sentiment analysis. And then what? Aggression, hate, these are all sentiments, but of a specific kind. So you see how you define the problem, how you create the training data, how you make the machine learn and understand what is the difference between a hate and an aggression. You can construct something like that. So there are small differences, and collectively there are other stuffs that people are doing, like author profiling, author attribution, like whether someone is writing in my name, whether that is really, who is writing, whose writing pattern you can mine and you can understand, who is the actual writer, kind of. So collectively, this is a very new, I won't say much new, but for the last 3-4 years around in the community called text forensic. So for different types of crime detection even, plagiarism is a big thing, these days. So there are laws against plagiarisms. In the university level, we are always, threatened by this term, that what we are producing with our co-authors, we have to be doubly sure whether that is not copied from someplace. So how will you detect, rather how turn it in detect plagiarism? Or is there a better algorithm to detect paraphrasing? Because paraphrasing is also a kind of plagiarism. It's not just copying exactly. So there are different levels of plagiarism, So it's not just like, verbatim copying from one place to other. It can be paraphrasing, it can be even translating. So basically, I can write Huckleberry Finn in Bengali and can publish in my name, and or any other English classics. I can translate it and publish it in my name, and I can earn money for that. So that is also plagiarism. So it can be cross-lingual, it can be paraphrasing, linguistically. So different levels of plagiarisms are there. And now in the era where we are standing this IP, where IP is a very important thing, how to protect your IP for what you are writing. So plagiarism detection is a burning problem. So all this collectively, people are now talking about text forensic. We run a competition on this every year jointly with University of Valencia, Spain, and some other European universities on this, because this is a big problem there also. The other major component or other major area where NLP is used is summarization. So as you see the 3 bullets below summarization, so corporate documents, once I was told that there exist large number of free-flowing text in form of annual reports, say HR has a lot of such text about the feedback of different employees, and so on. So how to comprehend them? Because you can't just run through 20,000 pieces of text. So corporate requirement of summarization is to comprehend it. Of course, it should accompany with a visualizer so that you should have a dashboard so that you can see the data from different point of view. Maybe for an HR, it may be a major question at the time of interviewing someone that, what is the most painstaking, or what is the major problem in this organization the employees are facing? And why are you leaving? Why are you quitting? Or before hiring, what to check? So that is one area. The other major area is legal. So how many here, I hope most of you must have seen a verdict, the format of a verdict. Just imagine the Supreme Court verdict or the High Court verdict or the local court verdicts. It starts with something called head note, and then the details. So head note essentially captures, that is human written, lawyers written. It actually captures the whole case briefly. So what we understand that when you are, if at all, you need to run through the entire verdict, instead, just to have some idea what is this case about, what are the major articles referred, or what are the major components, you can quickly glance through the head note. And of course, head note will not give you the entirety, so you have to read the verdict in details if you want to use that, pick that to support your argument. So, and many a times, briefing which is required. So suppose there is a 600-page report or some proceedings. So some kind of assistant, if can be provided in the legal setup by summarizing the text, the volume of text, it is believed that the time required on an average to settle a case will reduce. And then it's media, needless to say, television, newspapers. We are flooded with news classification, news recommendation, news arrangement, detecting fake news, fact-checking, and so on. So media is overwhelmed with these kind of problems. And summarization is one technique that is frequently used to get some idea what is happening before picking any particular news. So social profiling and summarization are the two components for today's afternoon that we will be talking about, and we will be checking, we will try to implement actually, or we will see how the implementations are being done. As of now, I am skipping the following problems, which is considered as the other major stuffs. The conversational agent. Conversational agent, as you know, one example is chatbot. So conversational agent, recommendation systems for legal, so kind of recommending that the precision cases, or what should be picked up. Here are some quick statistics that on an average, the study says that 40 minutes we spend on YouTube, 35 minutes on Facebook, 25 minutes on Snapchat, 15 minutes Instagram, and 1 minute on Twitter. This is a kind of a progression that is captured. So screen time, you sum it up, this is on an average, but the distribution is the high variance in there. So back to the anchor topic, NLP for business. Here I would like to show you some I won't say them product, but some prototypes that we have developed, and these prototypes will help you to envision or to understand what is actually going on at this level. So we have created in the lab few plugins for this social web, like the Facebook plugin, as you see, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So the purpose of this plugin is to identify the following things: that whether you are getting trolled, whether this is an aggressive text, whether this is an hate speech, if it is an aggressive text, what is the level of aggression, whether it is sarcastic or no, it's very direct. So these are the classes that typically require by any Facebook user to understand what is going on. So it's something like, let's start with the first one. For example, say this is a Facebook plugin for Donald Trump. So please note the dots. There are green dots, there are yellow dots, and there are red dots. Maybe I can just stop it here. Yeah. So the significance of the colors are green means it's fine, it's okay. Yellow is kind of sarcastic way of putting things or looking. And red is something very direct. So the idea is that if a company or if a person wants to manage his image or wants to understand what is happening about him, what people are talking about him, he will perhaps be interested, or the company should perhaps be interested to classify all the posts into this kind of classification. This is one kind of classification. There can be different types of classification. I mean, we can design for that. So once you have these things, you can analyze and you can design out some counter campaign maybe, if it's a political party or if it's a corporate house or whatever. So it's up to the policymakers of that organization. But this is something what will help definitely to understand. So this has been captured from a live session. You know, these people have a lot of fan followers and many people keep writing there constantly. So this is happening in real time. So the screen is getting refreshed and updated, and it takes a fraction of a second to detect the nature of the post, and it mark it accordingly. So it's happening in real time. So if you install this plugin into your browser, and then if you watch something, it will start marking. Okay, so the color coding is that if it is so, to us, there are three abstract classes. One is, no, it's not aggressive at all. One is sarcastically aggressive. The other one is abusively aggressive. But here, in this particular, I would say, example, each post is individually treated as a piece of text. Yeah, so those are the limitations of the classifiers. Yeah. So I can tell you the F1 score, which is usually followed to measure the accuracy of any classifier. The state-of-the-art F1 score is something about 0.64. So, and that's the best. So there are competitions organized around the world. So this is one of the best algorithm. So 0.64 means kind of, you can say 60% time your algorithm will, or 64% time your algorithm will correctly identify. Previously, it was very difficult to manage the posts from a semantic point of view. Now, there are algorithms that can help to classify it based on what is my research question. So we designed it at two levels, plugin level and also as a dashboard, to integrate all of them. So maybe I can move on to the third one. So this is an Instagram dashboard. So dashboard is a different thing, you know better. So this is basically our plan was to integrate all these things to a common setup so that people have their accounts in Twitter, in Facebook, in Instagram, and in Quora, and this and this. So an integrated interface can help him to manage his image or these stuffs in a better way. Text representation is the module, is the layer which convert this text into numbers. And that numbers in a low dimension space. Because that is the main secret behind this real-time movement. Else you can't manage it in real time. Now, so it has to be in low dimension. At the same time, it should capture enough semantics that it managed to do its job. Previously, people used to do it using linear algebra, which is some kind of matrix factorization, singular value decomposition or something like that. But now we use neural network in this deep learning era, where you can actually learn how to reduce. Because this is a common layer for all the NLP applications. We have to represent text in some way or the other. And then this block is basically the list of classifiers. As you said that maybe not aggressive, covertly aggressive, or overtly aggressive. Say these are the three classes. We can change it given you just give us a problem. Help us to formulate the problem, we can map it accordingly. But this list of classifiers, these two, the first two are deep learning classifier. So this long short-term memory and this convolution nets. And the good old logistic regression. You can even do it using logistic regression. Maybe some accuracy will get compromised, certainly. Some 20 to 30% less accurate this will do. Actually, in today's hands-on, we will use LR because we don't have enough time to use the trained model of CNN and LSTM in here. I hope you understand the limitation. For that, we can certainly, conduct a full 5 days workshop where we can actually do with resources. And we classify it. Now, the major question is, how you design the LSTM, how you design the CNN. This is something pre-designed kind of. But for designing, you need training data. And training data means human annotated training data, which is costly, very costly. And why, and what Google or Facebook is enjoying, that they captured this training data for free. So for this Face app, you upload your picture to get to know how you will look in next 20 years. So you are basically transferring the copyright of that picture to them. For all these games, the gamifications, all your usage history, everything is training data. And data is very important, as you see, to train those LSTMs or CNNs. So they are the king. They are sitting on gold mines. But to produce tailor-made business problems, that scope is still there. So that no one will solve your problem. If you have a requirement to design a tailor-made business problem, you have to come up with your data, and you have to formulate your problem as a classification problem or a machine learning problem. As of now, we are showing as if all machine learnings are classification problem, which is not. So we also work in the area of reinforced learning and all those things, but again, I should not detour further. So what I mean to say by this slide is these are costly to construct, and cost is here. So some amount of investment is required from the corporate point of view, from the government point of view, and so on. So whoever wants to do it. And finally, we end up with summarization. The agenda that we have today. As I said, the method, summarization was something that started some 30 years back when people just started NLP, computational linguistics people, by extracting important piece of text from a large piece of text. But the actual requirement, when you ask a human to summarize, she produces some abstract. So abstraction is the final goal, not extraction. But extraction helps, at least you to understand. Instead of reading 5,000 lines, you can read 50 lines, the most important 50 lines. And then on demand, you can increase few more lines on the top of it. So the journey from extractive to abstractive summarization has been captured to our latest book, published by Springer. This is the one. So we have an example that using Amazon Web Service. Part will demonstrate one summarization problem, how a summarization problem can be constructed. So here the code that we'll be using will be Python. All the libraries, existing libraries, Python. And Colab will be the environment. We chose Colab because you need not to install anything. Just you need to have an account in Colab in your browser. It's something like opening. In fact, if you have Gmail ID, you just use your Gmail ID and you can log into Colab, because that's the Google Cloud for Python code. There are a few models. Transfer learning, word embedding. So word embedding is one that the oldest one is word2vect. But later it came fast text, which instead of taking word, it chose the n-grams. So fast text is very efficient to capture AUNTY and ANTY. Both are having the same semantics. And glove, this is another one. So different text representation schemes. Well, it's not possible, again, to explain each, but some idea that how this thing happens, actually, how machine manages this thing, what it learns, how it learns context. And these are the classifiers that I mentioned. There also CNN, LSTM, bidirectional LSTM, and so on. So these are the deep neural models that has been used for classification. In reinforced learning, we also have some variant of these deep neural models, which continuously learns.